It's that time of year again. The end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The perfect moment for reflection. Hello, I'm Beverly Taylor. Welcome to the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. Over the past 5 years, we've brought you about 142 episodes filled with captivating personal stories and meaningful conversations. It's been an incredible journey, shining a light on experiences that range from heartbreaking and tragic to uplifting and inspiring. Our topics? Well, they've been nothing short of remarkable. Educational, thought-provoking, surprising, and downright intriguing. Today, we're taking a look back, sharing highlights from some of the memorable conversations we've had. Stay with us as we revisit the voices and stories that made the 411 Live what it is.
The 411 Live.
Where you can learn about issues that impact us every day. State of world, 411 Live.
Real people, real talk.
Made to help people in our community in every way. For your girl, 411 Live.
I want to start with my guest, Simone Kilgore, a trauma therapist. Now, we've had Simone on a few times. I love how she can break things down in such an understandable way. In this episode 7 from season 2, we talked about how the brain and the body responds to trauma. Now, trauma could be anything from the divorce of parents to sexual assault. But when we talk about trauma, that can be anything.
Of course.
You know, we've all had
We've
some
all
aspect
had
of trauma.
some aspect, from a loss of a family one, a pet, a car accident,
Yeah.
loss of a limb, a finger, sexual violence, domestic violence, just traumatic events.
Mhm.
And so I always say I believe everyone has been affected by some type of traumatic event or events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, you know, when I think about it as a kid, divorce.
Yes.
You know, when my parents got a
Yeah.
divorce, that
Mhm.
was very traumatic
Very
for me.
traumatic.
Yeah.
And what do you do with all of those emotions?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I realized at this age
Yes.
that some of that from back there
Mhm.
has affected me here.
Sure.
And now it's being the light bulb. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, let me go back, make
Mhm.
sure this little girl here is healed.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so this woman over here will be
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. And without the connection
Yeah.
between what we're doing now and how our life and our past has affected us, we kind of roam around unclear, unknowingly damaged,
Mm.
unknowingly hurting others, unknowingly unable to manage our own emotions and human behavior.
And a
Once you
lot
get
of
the
times,
education,
yeah,
it
and a lot of
helps.
times wondering, why did I say that?
Why?
Why am I
Mhm.
acting
Or
like
why
this?
do I feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed when this happens?
Yeah.
We have to try to make the connection. And so the neurobiology of trauma is about understanding the connection.
Let's go back to looking at that neurobiology and taking it from the lens of a sex trafficked victim or survivor.
Sure.
What are some of the things that might be playing into that or happening to them?
What happens for survivors of human trafficking, oftentimes, due to PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
due to trauma and pain, is they have lots of disorganized memories and thoughts. Our hippocampus is connected to other parts of the brain, which connect us to our emotions, behavior, flight, fight, or freeze, giving us information on what to do. So oftentimes survivors have fragmented, lost memories
Mm-hmm.
that are too painful to bring up. If they've been involved or affected by trauma beyond human trafficking, so maybe in childhood, maybe earlier than the trafficking began, they may have just been brought into an environment where every part of their life is fragmented and painful and feels disorganized,
Yeah.
unable to connect. So it caused.
In episode 15 from season 8, I had a very engaging conversation with Shanielle McLeod, founder of Clean Slate Milwaukee. I appreciated her transparency when talking about an offense she committed when she was very young and how that record haunted her. She used her experience to educate people with similar circumstances about the life-changing potential of expungement, which offers those with low-level offenses a chance to rebuild, free from the constraints of a criminal record. Now, this program is to help people with convictions of low-level offenses get expungements.
Correct.
That's one of the goals.
That's correct.
Where did that come from?
Wow, so that came from my own personal experience in needing an expungement. I have been in corporate my whole life, and an unfortunate event of my own landed me with a conviction that I had to learn to get rid of because I had lost my job at NML. I was working in corporate, like I said, my whole life, and it was a life I couldn't go back to. You can't go back to
because
corporate of this record. And so because, once I found out what expungement was, I seen it as an opportunity to get what I thought was my life back. Mm-hmm. And in return, it gave me a whole new life because it put me in place to serve other people and help other people with getting a second chance and getting a fresh start, even if it meant I couldn't.
Yeah. It's amazing to me some of the things that we feel are pitfalls, things that have had just a detrimental impact in our lives. And then we discover that we can use that experience to help others.
Correct.
And that's what you're doing.
And I didn't see it that way in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was just trying to learn the ropes, which led me into, being a paralegal in the first place, trying to learn how to read the law, because the law is not a very easy thing to read and comprehend and apply,
Yeah.
So once I learned how to be a paralegal, I went and interned at Legal Action, and I learned the step-by-step process of how to do an expungement and, get rid of that criminal record, at least from CCAP, to increase the, opportunities for employment, housing, education, and the other things that prevent people from moving forward with them.
Right,
with their
and
lives.
CCAP being the Wisconsin Court System website.
That's correct.
That everybody goes to.
That's right. Everybody goes to CCAP, and CCAP people. It's an invasion of privacy, is what it really is. And but it stopped me from, like you just said before. I remember sitting in Manpower, passing all the tests. They give you all these tests, and as soon as I get to the desk, she already got CCAP up, and she's shaking her head no. And I needed that job. When I say I needed that job, I'm talking about 2 months behind on rent.
Yeah.
We energies need their money. I needed that job. And so I remember I was sitting at the desk at the job center, and this guy was like, I'm crying. I'm talking about I slipped into a deep state of depression. I have never known poverty in my life, So I'm sitting at the desk, and this guy was like, "What's wrong? Why you crying?" And I told him, and he said, "It sounds like you need your record expunged." And then boom.
That was it.
That light bulb went off for me in 2007, and I have not been off of it ever since.
So you took the route of paralegal seeking, that avenue because of this?
That's correct.
Because you hadn't thought about this before?
No, I was in corporate. If I would have never lost my job in corporate America, I honestly probably still would have been there. I had no reason to come into this area of my life. I'd never been in jail before. I've never been in jail since then. I'm not a criminal. But once you get that record, you're labeled a criminal.
As some of you know, I am a former Milwaukee TV news anchor and reporter, so it was great to have 3 other Milwaukee Black female anchors in this studio for episode 4 in season 9. They were Toya Washington, Joanne Williams, and Vivian King. We talked about our TV experiences with no restraints. That felt good. A lot of people don't realize they have their vision of what it meant, for TV anchor, being in the news business, what they do and that kind of thing. But they may not realize what that really looked like. And I'm thinking in terms of the hours that we did. Now, a 9-hour day, that's a regular. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times we did more than 9 hours.
Yeah.
holidays, we worked a lot of holidays. So as far as, dating, raising a family, all those things, those were challenging, right?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, my. Yes.
And
She's queuing up something good.
Right.
Go on. Go on, ma'am.
I was going to say, and considering that I'm still not married with no kids, it's been challenging.
Well, in the time that I was on television, I went through 2 marriages, 2 divorces, had 2 kids, took care of my father who had Alzheimer's,
Wow.
had him live with me, and then after a while he didn't live with me. So there were times when I would go on and do a show, and I'd have to run away and go and take care of my father, and then come back and do another show, then pick up my kids who were little and take them home, take care of them, go to bed, get up and do the whole thing over again the next day, and go on the air and smile.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you said you're single, but you date. So in that dating situation, even that it can be challenging because you have the fella who wants you so he can say, "This is Vivian King. She's on da 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 da."
I have, oh gosh, I dated this meteorologist when I was in Tyler, Texas. And I was at the number 1 station, and he was at the number 2 station by a distance. And we would go out, and he just was so perturbed that people would recognize me, but they wouldn't recognize him. And, I was really conscious about that, and I would say, oh, this is so-and-so, And so this one time, I guess I didn't really say that fast enough, and the people turned to him and said, "Can you take a picture of us?"
Oh, boy.
And I just thought, I am in so much trouble. Needless to say, we don't date anymore.
Oh, that is funny. And then now, when you started in the business, you were single, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So in Madison, I was single, and then my now husband and I moved here together. So I was not single in the Milwaukee market.
Right.
But
And when you were in Madison, is that where you started having the children? Well, no. It would have
it
been
was
in
here.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, we got engaged here. We got married. I mean, we got married in Madison, but we were living here and then had kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I would say definitely. And in Madison, it was very unique because, first of all, I had been there for so many years because I went to school there and then ended up on the air there. And yes, so it made dating challenging. And I can't tell you the number of blind dates that I would be set up on where it was like, and it was usually like people who were slightly older than me and they were very like paternal or maternal where they were just like, "Oh, I got someone for you." And then I was like, when you're 20 something, like dating someone that's in their mid to late 30s, I'm like, ew. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's really like, no. So that was, it did make it a struggle.
Women are more apt to discuss their traumas with a trusted friend or friends, therapist, or support group, but men, not so much. So it was an honor and privilege when 4 men joined me for Real Talk. We discussed family issues, childhood sexual assault, domestic violence, and more. Here's an excerpt from Season 2, Episode 11. We talk about sex trafficking being hidden in plain sight. This is really hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely.
Because men don't want to talk about this.
Right.
Is that what you are seeing in your profession? Are you seeing a little bit more of the disclosure? Is it getting better?
Well, I would say in my profession, I primarily conduct groups with men who have issues of anger, conflict resolution, acts of aggression, batters, intervention, things of that nature. So from time to time, I guess I could say it's increasing as far as men being willing to disclose that they were raped or molested, sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
I guess initially in my work with Asha, I didn't get a lot of that. But as of late, I would say that it is increasing.
Yeah, and we should mention you've been with Asha for over 20 years.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so times are changing, maybe for the
Absolutely.
better
Right.
in that respect. You know, with women, we can disclose to each other. Women can talk to each other about problems, issues, sexual assault or being a victim of sex trafficking. That's a heavy discussion that may take a while, but sooner or
comes
later,
out.
it usually comes out.
Right.
Right.
But for men, you don't have that kind of relationship that women do.
Right.
Am I
right.
correct on that?
No, you're correct.
A lot of males, especially young men, they got a wall up, and they're not going to reveal any of that information.
Mhm.
So if they've been molested or sex trafficked or anything, that it goes on the other side of that wall. The appearance of being cool, I want to be a strong man.
Right.
Is the bigger thing for them. So they're not going to let anything that they may seem that's weak,
Right.
and revealing something like that will show a sign of maybe weakness to them.
Right. Right.
So the best thing for them is to just try to be quiet about it. Throw it in the closet and let it stay there.
Right. And then it's a stigma,
Mhm.
that comes with that, whether it's a justifiable stigma or not, but it's a stigma of, maybe they don't want to be viewed as a man who has sex with men, or they don't want to be viewed as, like brother said, as weak.
Mhm.
I couldn't protect myself. I couldn't
Right.
defend myself. So, to stay away from being stigmatized, they keep it on the other side of that wall, as brother mentioned.
Yeah.
Zora Hurston said something. My best friend loves this quote that, that's one of our favorite authors, but that if we're quiet about our pain, then when we die, they'll say we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That if we quiet about that pain, that when we die, somebody will be like, man, he was all right. He always seemed like he was happy. They'll say we enjoyed it. And that what became unconscionable to me as being a survivor and being a victim, then being a thriver.
Right.
And I think it is, but it's a culture. It's a cultural thing, of course, for when men. One, I think it's innate that men want to be respected and want
Right.
that to be revered. As much as women need to be loved, we need to be respected. It's literally on the same
Right.
spirit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because your man could be like, I respect you all day and never show you no love. And you'd be upset and you'd
Right.
be complaining. So it's on the reverse.
Well, since you've started this, let's talk
I
about.
didn't mean to start it.
No. Let's talk about what happened to you, because this is very personal for you.
Yeah. And, it's not. So I was molested about 4 years old by an older teenage cousin, a male. And this is ironically, maybe 4 or 5. I'm a kid, so I looked up to this guy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Everything he did up to that point, I thought was cool.
Right.
Right. So,
You know what I mean? And he was an authority figure too.
right.
But also I thought he was cool. And, I'm a heterosexual guy, and I feel like I was a heterosexual back then, but what 4 or 5-year-old is like trying to identify what they are.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? I'm just supposed to be a kid.
You don't know.
But, he orally molested me, then made me do it to him.
Right.
And that's not something that I, want to go around talking about. I'm grown enough and man enough to say that. And I think it instilled some shame. And I didn't tell any family member.
Many of our guests share inspiring personal stories that stay with me. One of those is Jamar Jackson, founder of Battle Scar Kids in episode 8, season 9. I met Jamar at an event and just had to get him on the 411 Live. A fireworks accident as a kid changed his life. It cost him his sight in one eye. He told me how he overcame the challenges and isolation. He's now helping young people turn their lives into power. Okay, well, let's just get into the story.
Okay.
11 years old, you're in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 4th of July.
4th of July. Yeah.
And where were you, at Washington Park?
So it was, at Washington Park, they had the fireworks out there. I don't know, do they still do that at Washington Park?
I think so.
Yeah, we were. I was with my brother, my younger brother Jamil, and two of my cousins, Ron and Dillian, and one of their neighbors, and we all went to Washington Park to watch the public fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
So then after, because it's dark when they do the fireworks, but growing up, it's like be in front of the house once the street lights come on.
I remember.
But we got permission that day because of fireworks. So when we come back to the house, we're supposed to stay in front of the house, and we're just like bored, and people are still out celebrating and stuff. So we're like, let's walk down the street. So we walked from Washington Park back to they stayed off of 48th and Lloyd. So they stayed at the top. It's kind of like a slope, like a hill. So we walk down like the hill, and we go to this next block, and this is people we don't know. Just they're out there having a celebration. So we just like start hanging out there playing music and popping fireworks and stuff like that. But they're being reckless with the fireworks. So they have bottle rockets, and you're supposed to set like the bottle on the ground and light the firework and let it shoot off in the air. Well, they're holding the bottle in their hands like they're missiles and pointing them at people. And so every time they're lighting it. It's like it felt like they had like a whole system. Like they had a light guy, a girl holding the bottle rockets, and then like a loader. So they would one by one light them, boom.
Like an assembly line.
Yeah, it really was like that. And so as they're lighting them, those bottle rockets are flying past our heads, and it makes that loud whistling noise. So they're flying by us. So immediately we're all like on high alert, like this ain't cool. Like we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so we're like, let's get out of here, because in our minds too, we're also thinking like, is a fight gonna break out here once one of these fireworks land on somebody? Well, not knowing it was gonna be me, we say let's leave, and I turned and immediately it's pow, and the firework landed right in my right eye, and just busted me up, and I'm bloody, and I dropped to my knees. It's just blood everywhere, and then everybody there rushed towards me, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And my brother, he's crying. He was like, so I'm Jamar, but all my family says Mar for short. So he's like, Mar, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm okay. I'm not okay. Like something's wrong. And of course, there's blood everywhere. There's so much blood I can't even open my eyes. So I just have to hold it like this. And
Milwaukee has experienced more than its share of stolen cars and high-speed crashes. In episode 12, season 7, Crystal Holmes shared the harrowing experience of seeing her daughter critically injured in a stolen car accident on social media. Her daughter was involved with the Kia boys and Kia girls. I appreciate her willingness to address criticism of her as a parent and how she and her daughter are coping. This accident happened, mid-July?
Yep, like July 22nd, 23rd.
Okay. I said that you got this information from a text. Is that right?
Actual inbox.
An inbox.
Yeah. I was at home. It was late. I was doing my nightly routine. So getting in the shower, getting out, so I can go lay down and relax. That whole day was not like I felt funny that whole day, to be honest. And it's just like I couldn't believe it. Here I am getting out the shower and my phone's just constantly going off. I mean, like literally back to back, my messages are just ringing back to back. Then I'm getting phone calls. Then I'm getting regular text messages. And it's like, okay, which one should I open first? Should I just respond to the calls, respond to the text messages, the inboxes? Which one? So it's like, okay, go to the messages. Because no one really hits me up on Facebook Messenger like that, besides people I talk to, really. So I go on there, and it's like I'm seeing like 6, 7 different messages from different kids that know my daughter. I see pictures, screenshot of her sitting in the car, then they send me the video. I didn't even fully watch the video. It's like I press play, I see her, and then I'm like, okay. Then my phone rings. I answer the phone. They like, what an accident looked like is over there near your house. Only thing I can do is just slip on some shoes, wake my sister up, and I go to the accident.
Right.
She's not there. I'm trying to get questions out of the police officers. At that point, it's like they're.
I always learn something new from guests, and I hope others do too. In fact, I know others do. For instance, on episode 6, season 9, my guests were 3 sisters, Dr. Pat Syfax, Jacinta Tatum, and Sheila Adams Gardner. Now, the sisters discovered they carried the RAD51D gene mutation, which increases their risk for breast and ovarian cancer. To alleviate their cancer risks, they all had those organs removed. Well, someone watched that particular podcast on YouTube and contacted one of the sisters because she was going through a similar journey. They have become her support. Here's an excerpt. Can you take me back to your reaction when you found out that you had, and I think the gene is called RAD51D, when you had that gene? Any one of you can start.
I think. Yeah, you go ahead.
I'll start. So I took the genetic testing based on a recommendation from my healthcare provider and really thought that I wouldn't find anything. All of these cancers in our family, it just happened to be. When I got the results, I was absolutely shocked. Yeah. I felt like I had just been diagnosed with cancer because she said to me, we found something, and it's RAD51D, and it makes you high risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And we didn't have like a history of that, to our knowledge, of ovarian cancer, but we certainly had a history of breast cancer. And a family member who died of breast cancer, and the others survived. And so I was absolutely shocked. And I can remember her saying to me, there's no, for ovarian cancer, there's no screening. And so you can have an oophorectomy, which is a surgery. Do you want someone to call you? And I thought, I need to process this. That was my first thought, but I just said to her, sure.
So she's ready to schedule you for the surgery.
Well, at least connect me to a physician who can talk to me more about it. And at the moment, I just need to process it. I wasn't ready to do anything drastic. Like surgery is not something that you take lightly. And especially at my age in your 60s, I thought, I need to think about this. So I was shocked.
Yeah.
But immediately shared it with my sisters.
Right. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But what was your initial reaction?
So when I went for the testing, and at the time, both sisters came back positive for this mutation, gene mutation. So I'm like, okay, well, they have it. Now, dun, 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 you know, like open up the envelope. What is it going to be? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I have it also. This is crazy. Like,
oh, wow.
All 3 of us have this mutation. Now, which one of our parents, did it come from? But it was crazy. Like, all 3 of us, like, this is crazy. But because of what happened previous years, I'm like, it was coming for me.
Yeah.
Not knowing that I had this mutation.
Now, I thought, so when Pat came back and said, hey, I have it, I was like, well, I wasn't surprised, actually. I thought, okay, this may be the answer, because we have on both sides at least 10 people who have had cancer. Some have died. And it's
so in your mind, you were thinking, this makes
there's
sense.
something. Yeah. So we'd always, for years, we've been thinking, okay,
There are so many other episodes I could have chosen, but this gives you a slice of what you'll find on the 411 Live. A new year means more episodes of interesting topics, community concerns, and fascinating guests. I hope you'll join us. The 411 Live is a nonprofit organization. If you would like to partner with us, simply go to our website, the411live.org. I'm Beverly Taylor, and this is the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. Have a happy new year, and God bless. If you would like to check out past episodes, there are many ways. Go to your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like and watch us on Facebook. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, go to our website, the411live.org.